Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Welcome to Tuesday, and welcome, Mara, to episode
277.
277. That can get a little sort of like, that's a huge hill to climb if I'm new to the show. Like, where do I start? It's like a banana. You can start anywhere in that banana. It's all sweet. Bhagavatam is very sweet. It's nectarian. It's a big bucket of sweet nectar. And we are at Canto 2. We want to start, Kaustubha, before we start, we want to mention, join me in Kaustubha in Cali, Colombia. And Mara. Me, Kaustubha, and Mara are going to be in Cali, Colombia. It's a vacation. It's a spiritual vacation. And that's what these things are. When you get into Bhakti, everything changes, even your idea of a vacation. You know what we're going to do on that vacation? We're still got to wake up early. This is the one vacation you don't get to sleep in. We're going to get up at 5 a.m. and we're going to do this, just what we're doing here, live, Wisdom of the Sages, broadcasting from Cali. And then you know what we're going to do? Tropical things that you do in the tropics when it's freezing in New York. You do tropical things. You jump in waterfalls. You go swimming. Kaustubha and me are going to feed each other tropical fruit. We're going to study shlokas, hear sweet baby Krishna, sing in kirtan, carry tropical birds on our shoulders. What else, Kaustubha?
Wow. I'm still getting over that we're going to be feeding each other fruit.
Yeah, come on. I'm gonna give you some acerola berries right in your mouth. Boom. Stuff you can't get in America. That's what's great about places like Colombia. These fruits you've never even heard of. They've just never even made it.
Yeah.
This side of the equator. I'll feed you. You don't have to feed me. I'll feed you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And also, I'd like to say November 7th, I'm going to be in Tucson, Arizona at Bava Wellness. November 14th, Nashville, Tennessee. November 15th, Louisville, Kentucky. December 4th, Beaver, Pennsylvania. December 5th in Pittsburgh. You can see that all on my Instagram page at Raghunath Yogi. All right. Any announcements, Miss Mara?
Let's see. We have Ananda Devi teaching an asana class on Patreon at 10 a.m. today.
Everybody loves her.
And there's a men's meeting today at 11 a.m. And you're doing Sweet Baby Krishna tonight at 8 o'clock.
That's patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. If you're a member, thank you. We try to make, when you join the membership, we try to make it very, very fulfilling for you. There's classes, workshops, etc. And you can backlog all this stuff. You can just go into archives of stuff. So you go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. Thanks for all your support. And also, if you want to join us here live on Zoom, do it. It's fun. It's more fun than being an other out there, just listening and spying on us. Well, you can join this little party we have going on right here. Just email Mara at wisdomofthesages108 @gmail.com. let's dive into the Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 2. Where did my page go? I got this massive screen. I'm still losing the page. Come on, Raghu. You're an adult now. Yes, we're in Canto 2. The name of this chapter has got a great name. Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions. I love that name. It's sort of like you're like a manual on piece of electronics. Scheduled incarnations with specific functions. But this was when avatars appear. And we are on, what's our text, Kaustubha Prabhu?
27.
27. All right. We start off with this mantra. This is really mantras of appreciation for the book, for the author, and for God. Narayanam namaskritya, naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatojaya mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya, bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyanat Murandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Madatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Let's dive in.
Okay.
There is no doubt about, so these we're talking about incarnations, various incarnations that are about to appear in the future, or that have appeared in the past. And now we've worked our way up, I guess you could call it chronologically, until the present end of Dwapara Yuga, beginning of Kali Yuga. There's 4 ages. We are in Kali Yuga, and 5,000 years ago, Dwapara Yuga ended, and Kali Yuga began with the disappearance of Lord Krishna. So now we're going to announce this avatar, Lord Krishna. There is no doubt about Lord Krishna's being the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, how is it possible for him to kill a giant demon like Putina when he was just on the lap of his mom? To overturn a cart with his legs when he was only 3 months old, right? Or to uproot a pair of Arjuna trees so high they touched the sky when he was only crawling. All these activities are impossible for anyone other than the Lord himself. Text 28. Then also, when the cowherd boys and their animals drank the poisoned water of the river Yamuna, and after the Lord in his childhood revived them by his merciful glance, just to purify the water of the river Yamuna, he jumped into it as if playing and chastised a venomous Kaliya snake, which was lurking there, its tongue emitting waves of poison. Who can perform such Herculean tasks but the Supreme Lord? On that very night of day of the chastisement of the Kaliya snake, when the inhabitants of Brajabhumi were sleeping carefreely. There was a
Not carefully, but carefreely.
What's that?
Not carefully, but carefreely.
Carefreely. Yeah, just sleeping carefreely. There was a forest fire ablaze due to dry leaves, and it appeared that all the inhabitants were sure to meet their death. But the Lord, along with Balaram, saved them simply by closing his eyes. Such are these superhuman activities of the Lord. Shall we go on?
Let's read one more.
Okay. When the cowherd women, Krishna's foster mother Yashoda, was trying to tie hands of her son with ropes, she found that the rope to be always insufficient in length. When she finally gave up, Lord Krishna, by and by, opened his mouth, wherein the Lord found all the universes situated, where the mother found all the universes situated. Seeing this, she was doubtful in her mind, but she was convinced in a different manner of the mystic nature of her son, Okay, I got a trivia question for Mara. Let's see. Mara and Krishna drew. She's one of them. Who will get this first, Krishna, Drew, or Mara? What is the name of the demon that inhabited the cart? The demon, Mara, that inhabited the cart. Let's go. Let's see that message board light up in the Bhagavatam. Yes, it's in the Bhagavatam. The cart demon.
Trinavarta.
Oh, Mara.
No?
Krishna Drew. Yo, Paramananda got it.
Oh.
Sura. Krishna Drew. When Krishna Drew or Mara doesn't get it, we go right to Paramananda. Okay. And
Good try, though. Good try.
It was a good try. Can I throw one more at them, Kaustubha, while they're at it?
All right.
Why Mara and Krishna Drew did, right?
And Paramananda.
Paramananda can't answer unless you guys don't get it. Why didn't Krishna kill Kalia? Why didn't Krishna kill Kalia?
Okay.
That's a simple one. This is these different level questions. This one is for my 6-year-old. So if you got to get the 6-year-old.
Yeah, thanks. Because the wives of Krishna came and asked for mercy on their husband.
Elizabeth got it.
Yeah.
Yvette Elizabeth jumped the gun. She's new in town.
But Mara got that one. You got to give her credit.
Yeah.
No, Yvette Elizabeth got it first.
No.
What?
Look down.
I was speaking.
She was in the midst of
I was
saying
holding a stopwatch, Mara. She could do 5, 6,
Okay.
5, 6.
It's like Mara never gets a break. She either gets a question that's too hard to answer, or when she answers one, even a hard one.
Oh man, what can we say about these? These are some of the best pastimes in the whole Krishna Leela.
Oh yeah.
Putina the Goddess, she was a witch. She was a gruesome witch, but she had this mystic power of shape shifting.
Mm-hmm.
She could change her form to anything she liked. And then she thought, okay, I'm going to kill Krishna. How will I do that? I'll turn myself into a beautiful lady. This is one of my favorite stories of all time. She turns herself into a breathtaking, like drop dead, what type of beauty, dressed in very beautiful clothing as well. And she walks into this simple farming village. Now, if you live where I live, it's like a farming village. If you drop off your kids at the Hawthorne Valley Farm School, where our kids used to go to school, all the parents are hanging around. You know how we're dressed? We're dressed like sort of messy dirt
farmers.
Yeah, farmers. We've got rubber boots on. Everyone's covered in mud. Our hairs are. It's not like I used to live in LA, and before you walk out the door in LA, you got a thing going on. It's not like that here. Everybody's a little messy. People come into my yoga classes a little messy. It's just how it is in the farm world. So Krishna is a farm boy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a cowherd boy. And so what happens?
But he dresses really well.
What's that?
He dresses really well.
Krishna is at this point, he's just a little baby. He's just a little baby. He's practically naked.
All right.
You know, and the parents are like simple farmers, but here comes this sort of very decked out beauty. It's almost like, what is she doing here? And her beauty was so captivating, and her dress, it appeared as she was the goddess of fortune herself from the higher planets. She walked right into that little farmyard, and they were the nurse, the nanny, we call it nowadays, and the mom, they were just shocked. And they come on in, come right in, come right here. Little did they know.
She was up to trouble.
She was a troublemaker. Troublemaker. She looked right at that baby and said, "Let me hold your baby." And the mother, yeah, sure, of course. You're beautiful. How could you be dangerous? You're very beautiful, right? Sometimes people are beautiful. That's another sort of like.
They get away with a lot of stuff.
The beauty privilege. I'm sick of all the people who are, walking around with their beautiful privilege. They can get away with things. Beautiful people. They can get away with things. So anyway, she does this very, almost, if you think about how heinous this crime is, she took her breast. I'm not making this up. This is part of the sacred literature. She smeared poison on her breast. Then she got dressed. Then she asked to pick up the baby. And then, who would do this? Do you mind if I breastfeed your child? And they were just like, yeah, go ahead. It seems like you could do it. She started undoing it, pulling up her cardigan, and started breastfeeding sweet baby Krishna. Now, little did they know that sweet baby Krishna, he's omniscient. He's all knowing. She didn't know that. She didn't understand. She thought she was going to kill that baby. You know what Krishna did? Hey, just clamp down those little baby gums. Clamp down right on that breast and start sucking and sucking like a vacuum cleaner, like a high-powered vacuum cleaner, sucking. And she tried to play it cool. She tried to play it off. That baby's got quite a grip. And started like playing cool. Finally, the grip was so tight, she had to just like let go. And she declared, "Oh, child, let me free." And she threw her hands up in the sky, started shaking tremendously, trying to shake that baby off her breast. But that little baby Krishna just clamped and sucked and clamped and sucked. This is what we do whenever I do a sweet baby Krishna. You get this type of drama, Kaustubha. You get like high quality drama on my part, shaking and shaking. And sure enough, Krishna sucked out the very prana from this witch, this shape-shifting witch. What do you think about that, Mara?
It's a good story.
It's a good story. And then once she sucked it out, she manifested this gruesome form that she was. And everybody was in shock. What the heck? Imagine witnessing that. To really understand Krishna Leela, you got to enter into it. You got to like see what she looks like, see what she's wearing, see little Krishna, see the parents, see the cows in the background. Then you can fully appreciate what's going. See the gruesome body, and then like, what just happened? All the people watching are shocked. Anybody who's passing by, shocked. Sweet baby Krishna.
Cheers. Here's the sweet baby Krishna.
Whew.
You lift your mushroom drink up.
No, I'm having chai today.
Okay.
It's extra gingery.
All right. But this, there's a lot to that, Leela, and we spoke a little bit about this with Professor Brian the other day, right? That like, you could look at the Upanishads or other Vedic literature and it seems like, okay, here's a mature philosophy, that deals with, detachment and kind of purifying and elevating one's states of consciousness. And then there are these stories, right?
Like how does this fit in? Like I heard all your philosophy. It's almost like you're going to a philosophy class. You're expecting a certain caliber of, thoughtfulness and depth. And then you hear this story that sounds like some crazy fantasy, but she represents the fake guru.
Well, that's one of the things, right? There's many things. Where face comes as if you're given nectar, right? Approaches as if they're going to share some nourishment, right?
Right.
In disguise.
In disguise. This is there's a lot of fake teachers out there who
but
really
actually they're given poison. You froze?
Yeah,
Probably.
it is. Am I frozen?
Well, not anymore.
Okay.
But so yeah, that's one of the things. But there's also this. You see what happened to Putina when she died?
She became gruesome. She shape-shifted.
Well, her
back.
body became gruesome. But what happened to the soul of Putina?
Well, that's the backstory. She got liberated.
She got liberated. Right?
Anybody, if Krishna's sucking your breast, you're getting liberated, even if you're a demon. That's the power of sweet Krishna.
Well, that's the thing, is that he saw. This is the amazing thing, right? Because there's that fear of the personal God, right? Fear of the personal God. Fear that like I don't even like the concept that there's someone more powerful than me. So I'm more comfortable with the idea of like we're all God, or we all merge into a oneness, or there is no God. Different. There's a philosophical, or let's say psychological kind of. There can be a psychological barrier to the idea of a personal God. What the Bhagavatams, what Vyasadeva, the same person that gave all of that sound philosophy in the Upanishads, and of course throughout the Bhagavatam as well. But what he's revealing here, part of the importance of us hearing this Krishna Leela is to understand that when you get to the top, right? But when you get to the source of everything, or let's say the origin, right? When let's not even say top, because that might even play with our psychological, frailty. Yes. But when you get to the origin, it's the most beautiful, it's the sweetest, and here we see the most merciful, right? That even though a person came with such a horrible intention, when he was apparently so vulnerable, right, just like an infant,
Baby.
and I come as a beautiful mother, ready, what's the most innocent, the first thing that, for the child, to breastfeed the child, right? What it's a picture of like just love and purity and innocence and all of that. And she hijacks that very pure activity and says, I'm going to use it to kill him. So she smears poison on.
Can you have that out again, Kaustubha? I don't know if anyone picked up on that. Kaustubha was acting out smearing poison on the breast.
And so
the others can't see that. That was very good.
So like you said, it's heinous, right? But it's said that he only saw what, in the end, what he saw was she came to me as a mother. So even though she was killed, she got this liberation. And there's a very famous verse about that. Are you familiar with that? I know you must be familiar. You know the one?
That says even Putina.
Yeah, it was a verse spoken by Uddhava, who's a character that's going to come out a little bit later in the Bhagavatam.
Tell me the verse. I'm going to.
Aho bhakiyam stanaka lukutam. You know that? That, alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he, who granted the position of mother to a she-demon, Putina, although she was unfaithful and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. So the idea is that the great Bhakti-yogis, the sages, they think about this and they say, this is just astonishing, right? This isn't a God of wrath. This isn't a God of jealousy, of anger, not even like apparently of like justice. It's a God of mercy, because she came with the worst intention, and he said, well, she came to be a mother, and granted her this liberation. So Uddhava is just astonished by this, and we see that throughout Gaudiya, throughout the Bhakti Yoga tradition. There's different times where this verse comes up. Can you think of another one? There's a famous one in Chaitanya Leelas, Sri Chaitanya's Leela, where
you're appreciating Krishna's mercy for someone who tried to kill him.
Well, this verse is specifically about this verse.
I'm stumped. Consider me stumped.
Well, there's another lesson in this. It's about a great soul named Pundarik Vidyanidhi, right? And Pundarik Vidyanidhi was a Vaishnava. He was a Bhakti yogi, but he didn't appear like that from the outside.
He was the one who was very, very like refined and well-to-do, and is that it?
Yeah, well, not even luxurious. Like he was like living in luxury.
Vidyanidhi confused with it. He was the one who was very wealthy and very
what's the word to use? Well, he was living in like this lavish lifestyle. Yeah. And so one great devotee, I think it was Vrikeshwar Pandit, was telling Gadadhar Pandit, this is incredible Vaishnava you have to meet. Or no, was it Mukunda that brought him there? I think it was Mukunda. It was one of the two. And Gadadhar Pandit said, yeah, of course, you're telling me about this great Vaishnava, this great Bhakti yogi, this great soul. I'd love to meet this person. So he was brought to the person's home. And when he saw the home, it was just like luxury. It was like,
you gotta understand these people, the rest of the followers, they're like simple, almost like hermits. I mean, like clean, sophisticated, scholarly, but very simple. And here you are at Pundarik Vidyanidhi's house, and it's just like elaborate, like really posh.
And even
this
like
is the guy, this materialistic guy. You think he's very evolved?
He had long hair. It was oiled. He had like fragrances on. This whole home was like, and Gadadhar Pandit is looking and say, this person, this is, he didn't say it out loud even, but
it's shocking,
But his friend could see he's doubtful, right? He's seen this person. He's doubtful, and And he's looking at him, I don't know, I've never seen a bhakti yogi like this before externally.
It's like a
doesn't appear to be.
rhinestone cowboy.
Rhinestone cowboy.
Remember
Go to
that
Glenn
song?
Campbell.
Yes.
I know, but Liberace. Right?
Liberace. It's like imagine if I said, "Oh, the guy got this great soul." What do you mean? He was a really saintly,
Deeply spiritually realized.
and all of a sudden I bring in Liberace. It's not like Liberace's not anyone who's not that old doesn't even know who Liberace is, but he was such a key figure in my life growing up.
Really?
Yeah, come on.
Key figure.
We watched Liberace on TV.
We saw him on TV.
He had this very fancy piano, very fancy fake diamond outfit on. He almost
Lavish.
dressed like a deity, if you think about it. And big bouffant hair. Here come all the comments. Yep. He was always on TV. Thank you. But anyway, imagine if we said, this is the most spiritual guy you'll ever meet. And we're like, what? Liberace? Really? So anyway, go on.
So it would, and Lavanga is sharing with us that it was Mukunda. His friend was Mukunda. Mukunda was known as a great singer in Sri Chaitanya's, society of bhakti yogis. And so Mukunda's looking at him and saying, I see Gadadhar Pandit. I can see it on his face. He's a little doubtful. So what he did was he sang this verse, Aho Bhakiyam Sanakalukutam. And when he sang that verse, Pundarik Vijaniti,
who now I always think of as Liberace. Go on.
He just lost it. He actually went into states of his spiritual emotion just came out almost uncontrollably. He couldn't control his deep devotional emotions that were coming out, and he was crying, rolling, and just he was. And Gadadhar Pandit could understand. Oh, what's the matter with me? I was thinking I was judging this person externally, but actually they're an incredibly deep soul. Incredibly deeply realized person that's deeply absorbed in Krishna's pastimes. When he heard this verse, his devotional emotions just overtook him. And in the purport to that verse, maybe we can read a little bit of the purport. It's Uddhava telling this to Vidura.
This is from the 10th canto?
From the third canto.
Okay.
Third canto, because Vidura leaves home and he's out there in the forest, and then he runs it. But I think he was actually in Hardwar, if I'm not incorrect. And he ran into Uddhava, who's a close dear friend of Krishna, right? Vidura's from Hastinapur, the capital where the Pandavas live, loving Krishna and occasionally seeing Krishna. And Uddhava is his very dear associate with Krishna from Dwarka, Krishna's place. So now he said, oh my God, that's Krishna's close dear friend. That's Uddhava. He's so special. And he began to ask questions of Uddhava. And then Uddhava says this verse, alas, who is there that's more merciful than Krishna? He gave liberation to this woman that came to try to kill him as an infant. And so Prabhupada writes in the commentary, here's an example of the extreme mercy of the Lord, even to his enemy. It is said that a noble man accepts the good qualities of a person of doubtful character, just as one accepts nectar from a stalk of poison. Think about that, Raghunath, right? Isn't that an amazing, here it's being said, it's Krishna's quality. And when we meet that, like you and I have had people in our lives that have accepted us, we can imagine, right? When we're first coming around to this bhakti, we're walking around people that are they're highly elevated. They've given their lives and they have deep realizations and they've refined
highly elevated, dealing with a couple ruffians.
Yeah, just people that are arrogant and, just
self-absorbed, low grade.
Yeah.
People are just kind to us, loving, tolerant.
Yeah, overlooking all the faults.
Overlooking all the completely.
And seeing
tolerant.
only the good.
That's an important quality because we want people in our life to be like that to us. I want people to be compassionate, loving, understanding.
Right.
I have to be ready to give that back. That means people are going to come up to me that aren't cool, that have some issues, that might be short-sighted, might come off too fanatical or intense or just rude. I have to be that same way. I have to be loving, compassionate, and tolerant, and keep pushing that spiritual, authentic agenda. See, you can't say no one has an agenda. Everybody's got an agenda. Even in Bhakti Yoga, we have an agenda, but our agenda is the original agenda, which is I'm no longer going to see this person as an enemy or a friend. They're all connected to me. That's the agenda. It's the vision. Kaustubha is a spiritual person. And even this guy over here that's a total jerk right now, that's a spiritual person. And that's my agenda. Yeah, get over here. Sit next to Kaustubha. And if I keep that as my agenda, treat people with that very, very high level of dignity, treat them as what they can be. They are pure spirit souls. That's when people really start to transform. How did I get talking about that, Kaustubha?
Because here we're saying that it's a quality of Krishna. Prabhupada says here it's the quality of a noble person, that they see the good qualities.
Okay, yeah.
Even in a person of doubtful character. And we see that
that's such a beautiful statement.
It's so important that we try to become like that, right? Mohan Das is sharing on the thing that, we're living in the cancel culture right now.
Cancel culture. You're canceled. I know who you are. If people say things like that, I know who you are. You don't. You don't know who they are. What they really are is a pure spiritual being. If you know who they are, so to speak, like I got you figured out, you're one of the others. Guess what? You're holding them there. If we're actually really acting in a spiritual way, we will reach into people's hearts and excavate what they actually are. That is really knowing what they are. Now, it's really important, especially in this type of cancel culture, to really understand people are pure souls, no matter how they're behaving, or else we're going to create us and them. We're going to create this binary thinking, and we can't do it. If we really want to connect the world, it's not going to happen that way. We have to reach out of our being and learn to extend love. And it's hard to do. I'm not saying it's easy, because some people act in some really crazy ways, but to hate them, that's no good. That's not going to work. And it's no good for you. You're just going to feel hateful.
No hate for the Bhakti-yogi.
Huh?
No hate for the Bhakti-yogi.
No hate. No hate.
No hate allowed.
Yeah. You can hate the sin, but not the sinner.
There you go. So Prabhupada, he ends that commentary by saying, Lord Krishna accepted the motherhood of Putina because she pretended to be an affectionate mother, allowing Krishna to suck her breast. The Lord accepts this is the point right here. The Lord accepts the least qualification of the living entity and awards him or her the highest reward. That is the standard of his character. Therefore, who but the Lord can be the ultimate shelter, right? So when we hear this passage, this witch came, she shape-shifted, walked in there as a beautiful woman, went to breastfeed, the child, sucks her breast and sucks the life out of her, and her original form, the grotesque form appears. Okay, you got your little folklore, fable, story, whatever it is.
I like where you brought this, Kaustubha, because I even brought it to this next level of like, let me go deeper here. She represents the false, cheating guru.
That's important too.
It is important, but you took it to this very sweet level. But yeah, there are people who come in the guise of one who's giving love, but it's crooked. It's a crooked mentality, and it's actually blended in with ego. And this is one of the things that Bhagavatam teaches, which is very important, especially for us, because we're in the West, actually, especially for people in the East too. You need to know the qualifications of one who's a guru, one who's a teacher, or else anybody, we are so vulnerable, and we want to believe. People want to believe. Yeah. So we can also be very tricked easily as well. So we need to understand, what are the qualifications of a genuine teacher? And it's got nothing to do with gender, of course, or even race. Some people say, no, you got to be born in India. No. You're not reading these. You're not hearing the Bhagavatam. Come on. What? It's got nothing to do with where you're born, what color your skin is, what gender you are.
What family you're born in.
Giving bhakti. If you're putting bhakti in the hearts, right? It's really easy to figure out, even in the material world. if you can teach me how to play piano, guess who you are?
Piano
You're
teacher.
my piano teacher, right? You don't have to go that deep, right? What do you think about that, Kaustubha?
Even the simplest things can become lost on us, right? We get caught up.
Right.
We get caught up in all different kinds of, what do you call it? Stinking thinking, crooked thinking. It's like, we just get warped by different, but you got to get down to that essential thing. So yeah, there are a lot of, it's very natural. The reason that we're in this material realm in the first place is because we want to be the center. We want the prestige. So within spiritual circles, there's going to be a lot of people that say that's not even necessarily so consciously, but they say, hey, this is a great form for me to gain prestige, real prestige, because people, when it comes to spiritual leaders, people can become really reverential, and I want that. I want to play that role. I think I'm qualified to play that. Who's more qualified than me to play that? I should be playing that role.
It's what the ego has always.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something embarrassing about myself, Kaustubha?
All right. Not too embarrassing.
It's not too embarrassing. No, I won't go there. I got the
Don't tell that Calcutta book.
I got a whole book of those as well.
That Calcutta story.
Like Daniel and Elizabeth are on the edge of their seat. Yeah, it's telling me something embarrassing. No, I was walking at my mom's. My mom lives in Battery Park City, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the morning.
You froze up for a second there. Battery Park, Battery Park City.
Walking down the riverside on the promenade, chanting, looking at the Hudson River Bay.
Okay. Was this recent?
This was the other day when I was in New York.
The other day. All right.
After I hung out with you after the pillow fight.
Right.
And I remember at a time, when I lived in Brooklyn Heights and I had a co-op by the promenade also. And I remember thinking, oh, I own this apartment. I got a good deal on this apartment. I bought it for low. I could probably sell it for high. I started getting into this like mindset of Manhattan making money. And so I started I bought this for really low. I got it at foreclosure. I could sell it for high. I should probably buy another one. And look at all these stupid people renting. Why would they rent if they could just buy? If they only knew what I knew, if they could buy multiple. And I just started getting into a mindset of
controller,
arrogance, just deep in a moment of good fortune, good karma. You can think, I know so much, and the rest of these people are so foolish. That's why to have great amounts of wealth, to have great amounts of beauty, to have great amounts of power, to have great amounts of fame, it is a really slippery slope.
Slope. You could slip very easily. Yeah,
just into of course I know so much. Of course I'm so insightful. Of course I'm so gorgeous. Of course it's a slippery slope. That's why sometimes if you ever feel destitute, if you ever feel like, man, I've lost this, lost my home, lost my wealth, lost my relationship, lost my health, got news for you. You are at a very, very special time. It's a very precious time where Krishna is directly embracing you so you can get real. So you can get real and you can feel a beautiful desperation. And in that desperation, you can sometimes very, very sincerely reach out to Krishna. And
beautiful desperation.
Otherwise, it's a lot of work. If you're a have, all of us are haves in one sense, but if we're getting proud of our have-ness, our have stuffs, it's really easy to forget Krishna because you just think, well, I got my act together. These losers don't. That's sort of like the secret narrative in the mind. So anyway, I was reflecting to it at a time when I really thought I was
better than everyone else.
Much better.
Well, your story, your story is hitting on all these points of a story that I could tell. I'm not going to tell this story today, but when you talk about Brooklyn, condos, all this stuff, because I got a story to tell, but I think I'm going to tell it tomorrow, okay?
Oh, come on. What you got?
It involves Brooklyn. It involves condos. It involves
it
involves the mafia.
Oh, I love mafia. Everybody loves a good mafia story. Tell me.
No, you're gonna have to wait till tomorrow because it fits in with the theme for tomorrow. I think we'll be reading some verses.
All right.
Have to tune in tomorrow for that.
Okay.
But back to Krishna's Leelas, right? Is like, so yeah, so here you have, the great souls. You have Uddhava, dearest soul to Krishna, very dear soul. And you have Pundarik Vidyanidhi. You know who Pundarik Vidyanidhi is in Krishna's Leela?
Thinking.
Think.
Someone very luxurious.
I believe here, if anyone can get this, let's put that out as a quiz. In Chaitanya Leela, there's a character Pundarik Vidyanidhi, but he also plays a role in Krishna's Leela.
What? Do you know it, or are you just?
I do
throwing it
know.
out there?
I do know. I'm pretty sure. I believe he's Vrishabhanu Maharaj. I believe he's.
Oh yeah, Lavanga Devi got it.
She's on the ball.
She's on it. Okay, welcome to the club. She's going to be our advanced trivia.
Yeah.
She's going to go head to head with Paramananda.
And Gadadhar Pandit, who's the one that was so impressed by Pundarik Vidyanidhi, who is he in?
Radharani. I got that. Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah. So it was. I mean, the depth. Radharani is seeing.
Right. I think people
father.
have to understand what's going on, because we're playing this game right now, but people, I just want to explain this for those who are not familiar with this.
Yes.
Great liberated souls appear in one particular Leela, or when Krishna becomes an avatar, great souls come and appear with him.
Mm-hmm. You can appear in different forms.
When Krishna leaves and everybody dies or disappears, so to speak, when he comes again, they come again, but they come in different forms.
Yeah. So this was Radha seeing her own father, feeling doubtful. Mukunda sings this beautiful verse, and it's revealed. And then, but this is important. Gadadhar felt so bad about his own doubts about Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Here's this great soul, and you see, we might feel bad if we said something that wasn't if we said something inappropriate, that in other words, if we expressed ourselves in some way, like, here's this great person and I said to them this, oh my God, how could I say that? He didn't even say anything like that. He just doubted. He just, in his own mind, he just thought that way. But he felt so bad about that. They said, I must become this person's servant. This person is so exalted, and I committed the offense of doubting that. I'm going to serve them. And so Pundarik became the guru of Gadadhar Pandit.
Pretty cool. By the way, someone might be asking this question. It's because we know these things, we talk about these things. People might be like, well, there's sages who have this vision of who is who in what Leela from another Leela.
Okay.
I wonder who you, me, and Mara were in our previous lives. And how
we know about you, right?
We all related.
You did the past life regression. And then you also did the palm reading. So, like, we know about several of your past lives.
We know some of Mara's previous lives as well.
Okay. But you've been everything from a king and the son of your son to a waitress in Coney Island, right?
Something like that. It's a weird, long, strange trip my soul's been on.
Okay.
We don't want to get to Mara's. It's got very twists and turns. But we had a mystic go through her whole past history, her previous autobiography, and it wasn't looking good. It wasn't
Well, she's doing good now.
She's doing great. It's all about where you are. It's not where you were. You know that, Mara?
There you go.
Thanks.
Yeah. You're doing great. We appreciate you. You're doing wonderful service.
So maybe we can read the commentary to this verse that we just read, or to text 230. Should we do that, Raghu? Can we do that?
Paramananda says Bhakti Tirtha Swami told me and him our past lives.
Okay.
Right, I gotta figure. I can't remember what that.
But we're not going there.
How do I not remember that? Bhakti Tirtha Swami told me my past life. How do I not remember that?
Paramananda can share that.
Put it up on the board, please.
Okay. But now let's read about this. We just read, here's text 30, that when the cowherd woman, meaning Yashoda, Krishna's mother, was trying to tie here it says the hands of her son with ropes, right? And this is important because we're going to have to explain this in more depth, maybe not today, but because we're going into the month of Damodar. And this, it's coming up Friday, or is it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something like that. She found the rope to always be of insufficient length. So she was getting more and more rope, and she couldn't tie Krishna. She's trying to tie him up. The more rope she got, it was still too short. And then it says, by and by, Krishna opened his mouth, wherein the mother found all the universes situated. She saw everything in Krishna's mouth. Seeing this, she was doubtful in her mind, but she was convinced in a different manner of the mystic nature of her son. And so then here's the commentary. It says, one day Lord Krishna, as a naughty child, disturbed his mother Yashoda, and she began to tie up the child with ropes just to punish him. But no matter how much rope she used, she always found it insufficient. Thus she became fatigued. But in the meantime, the Lord opened his mouth, and the affectionate mother saw within the mouth of her son all the universes situated together. The mother was astonished, but out of her deep of now we're getting to the esoteric side of bhakti, right? Esoteric. The mother was astonished. What is this? Here's my boy. I look in his mouth. First of all, there's a mystic thing going on. I'm trying to tie him up, but it's impossible to tie him. And second thing, I look in his mouth, all the universes are in there. The mother was astonished, but out of her deep affection for Krishna, she thought that the Almighty Godhead Narayan had kindly looked after her son just to protect him from all the continuous calamities happening to him, like Putina and all that. Because of her deep affection for Krishna, she could never think that her very son was Narayan, Lord Vishnu, the personality of God himself. This is the action of, okay, we got our word for the day here today, brother. Ready? You're muted. Ask to unmute. There you
Sorry.
go. No problem. This is the word for the day, Sanskrit word for the day, right?
Sanskrit glossary goodie.
Yes. This is the action of Yoga Maya.
Yoga Maya. Write
Yoga
that
Maya.
down. Yoga Maya. It's a good word, isn't it?
Yoga Maya.
Yoga
Is the action of Yoga Maya, the internal potency of the Supreme Lord, which acts to perfect all the pastimes of the Lord with his different types of devotees. Who could play such wonders without being God? So it's saying what's an
easy definition for that? You know, it was we had one when Professor Bryant came on. He gave a very long definition for one of those.
For Yoga Maya?
For a Sanskrit glossary. I remember. I can't remember what word it was.
I forget.
What's a very simple way for someone to understand what Yoga Maya is?
Sometimes a simple way to understand something is to understand its opposite. So there's two kinds. Maya means energy, but often it's used to imply or to refer to a type of energy that covers one's understanding, right? Confuses one or bewilders one or makes someone accept something that's not.
That's what Maya is. That's what Maya is.
That's one way. Yeah, Maya, literally its most fundamental form just means energy. But commonly it's used to refer to energy that covers one's understanding.
Bewilders.
Yeah, bewilders one in a certain way. So there's Maha Maya and there's Yoga Maya. Now, Maha Maya is the Maya that we're all confused by, right? I think I'm this body. I think this form or that form is what will make me happy. I think something external is what I need. I think, that's the work of Maha Maya. That's the illusory energy which has us running around this material world in a state of confusion. But then there's Maha Maya. Now we're talking about those souls. I'm sorry. Maha Maya is for the people that want to try to enjoy separately from God. Okay, if that's what you want, then enter into the virtual reality, enter into the illusion. Maha Maya will have you convinced that it's all real. Yoga Maya is for those souls that want nothing but to serve, and their enjoyment is found in their connection with God, not disconnected, but in connection.
So it's illusion, but illusion for liberated souls.
Yeah, and it's illusion that its whole purpose. And how did Prabhupada in that? He said, this is the action of Yoga Maya, the internal potency, not the external potency is the material energy. The internal potency is the spiritual energy. The internal potency of the Supreme Lord, which acts to perfect all the pastimes of the Lord with his different types of devotees. And every word in this is like significant. Different types means there's varieties. Here's one variety, motherly love. Motherly love. Now motherly love depends. for motherly love to really be fully experienced, the mother has to think this child is dependent on me, right? That's part of the rasa. That's part of the mood, that my child needs me. But does Krishna need Yashoda? He doesn't. He's God. So for in order for the exchange of mother and son to be fully in effect, there has to be the effect of Yoga Maya, where Yashoda thinks, this is my son. He's dependent on me. So when she's trying to tie him up and she can't do it, she's thinking he needs me to discipline him, right? Otherwise, he won't grow up right. He needs to be punished here. I need to, I love him, but I need to punish him in some way. And then she tries to tie him up, and mystically she can't tie. Now, what will eventually happen, this is really key to the month that we're going in, she eventually ties him up, but it's understood that what she was able to tie him with was ultimately her love, right? That even with bhakti, with pure love, one can bind, even capture God. But then she looks in his mouth, and when she looks in his mouth, she sees all the universes. And for a moment, she's like, what is this? How can all the universes be existing within the mouth of my little boy?
Unbelievable.
Is he Narayan? Is he God? No. It must be God's taking care of him. That's what it must be. Because without that, her motherly affection wouldn't flow in the same way. Right? And so there's
two Mayas, good Maya, bad Maya.
So
we don't want the Maha
we
Maya.
want the
we
Yoga
want the
Maya.
Yoga Maya.
Yeah, it's we're being influenced. Whatever influence is working upon us is simply to enhance our love and our service in the exchange of love.
And that's our Sanskrit glossary goodie of the day.
There you go. But this is a point that you see, we're just scratching the surface of the depth of this esoteric side of bhakti. That there is, it seems irrational, these stories about the witch and the breast sucking and the, shape shifting and all of that. But there's a spiritual rationale. There's a deeper, reasoning behind it, that if one can approach it in the right mood, from the right teachers, from the right sources, they can understand that, when Krishna's dancing, it was mentioned he's dancing on that snake, right? There's a snake in the river and he's on top of it and he's dancing. But the point is that, and Prabhupada said that there's these different types of devotees. On the bank of the river, there's the parents, there's his friends, there's the girlfriends, and they're all seeing him bound in the coils of that incredibly ferocious, dangerous, massive, multi-headed snake. And what it's doing to all of them is it's stirring the intensity of their emotions. Oh no, we're going to lose Krishna, the dearest.
It's also love. Love comes in the form of like, I love you, and
another
embrace.
variety of love.
It also comes in an incredible, oh my God, my child.
Yeah.
And to bring out that type of love, these so-called demons manifest to evoke this. It's such like a refined philosophy of love. We think of love as just like a simple thing. I love you. I love you. I love this. I love this. Love can also be in great distress. Oh my God, what's going to happen to my little boy? Right. So all these flavors of love come out in Krishna Bhakti, especially because he's got this element of he's a little child, where you don't see that with Lord Vishnu. We're not worshiping Lord Vishnu in that form, or with the cowherd girls and stuff like that. So you have extra love flavors.
All those varieties, right? So like when they're all seeing him, he's all bound up in this snake out there in the river, and everybody's watching on the bank of the river, and they're terrified for a moment, and then somehow he slips out, and he not only slips out, but he gets on top of that snake. And he not only gets on top of that snake, but he starts to fight the snake, but he doesn't fight it in any ordinary way. He's actually he's dancing, and all the heads of that snake are moving, and he's going he's dancing on the head of the snake. And
it's one thing if the snake just had him, and he
got out and killed it.
He got out and he got him in a headlock, pulled out a knife from his belt and stabbed the snake.
Yeah.
Krishna doesn't do stuff like that. When Krishna gets out, he gets
creative.
out very deftly, gets on top of the hoods. It's almost like if someone sort of like it's like something's on your head and you can't see it. He's on the hood of the snake, so the snake can't get him because he's on this hood. And every time another snake tries to get up and bite him, Krishna's just moving so expertly and he gets this name, Rasaraj, or not. He's also called Nataraj, just like Shiva is, because his dance on that snake.
So beautiful.
It's so beautiful that the demigods are watching. The gopis, they say, want to go and dance with Krishna on the hoods of the snake.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because you have the different varieties of rasa are being stirred all at one time, because his friends, the guys, right? They have a certain love that say, hey man, that's our boy, right? That's our,
Get him,
look
Krishna.
at him. Look at him. There's nobody better than him. Like that's, their love for him is the love of the friend. And the parents are like, what is it? They can't even conceive of how this is, how their little boy is doing it. What the wonders this little boy is doing. We can't believe it. And the girls, they're like, oh my God, like everything this guy does is just like blowing our minds. He's so gorgeous. He's so talented. He's so graceful. He's such a great dancer. Like all of the stuff that we're attracted to in this world is just a warped reflection. And this is it all happening in the original sense. And it's so when these sound like children's stories, just almost silly stories, the great philosophers, the brilliant thinkers have gone deep, deep, deep into this, and they can explain layer after layer after layer after layer after layer of it. We can hardly hear the music, Raghu. You're dancing. We can't hear you. We can't hear the music.
You can't hear that music?
Now we can. Now we can barely hear it. What kind of DJ is this? He dances alone.
I'm dancing with myself.
It's a Billy Idol thing. Gotcha.
Gen X. Bolo. Thanks everybody for joining us. What a great Tuesday. Good job on all the trivia questions. And we got to unplug Paramananda because I want to hear what I was in my last life. Maybe Thursday to ask Paramananda.
And I'm going to tell my mafia story tomorrow.
And we got to tomorrow's a mafia story. You got to get to the bottom of that. Kaustubha meets the mafia adventure. So class is going on in Patreon. Excited for Ananda Devi's Warrior Sage today at
10 a.m.
10 a.m. What's the and then men's meeting at
11 a.m.
Men's meeting at 11 a.m. You get that through the Discord thread. That's how you find out about that.
And then
tonight on Patreon, Sweet Baby Krishna. Thanks for everybody joining us. Thank you, Zoomers, for dancing with us. Now start dancing. Now you got to dance.